What's up, y'all? It's Ty reacting to Rob Dillingham. The Timberwolves traded up to draft him. I say traded up from, my child probably will be 3 years old at that time. I don't know when I'm having kids. I'm just saying, like, 2031 and 2030 draft picks. One is a swap, okay, for Rob Dillingham. I don't know much about Rob Dillingham, to be honest with you. Like, I wasn't doing research on him. I didn't think he was that, valuable for the Timberwolves to do research on because they didn't have a good pick. Now they got him on the squad. Is he the future point guard alongside Anthony Edwards when Mike Conley decides to hang it up? I don't know. Now, shout out to my guy Hoop Intellect for this breakdown, for this video.
Despite starting just one game for Kentucky this season, Rob Dillingham...
Wait a second. I know Kentucky had a decent backcourt, but my man only started one game?
He matched the highlight-worthy handle and bucket getting he'd long been known for with much-needed efficiency and substance, and rightfully saw his stock take off for it. Now, the official combine measurements will be especially important for him, but currently listed...
All right, let's see. He averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists to 2 turnovers. I mean, isn't bad. He only played 23 minutes a game. Okay, so here's what really stands out to me, okay? He played 23 minutes a game and averaged 15 points. So let's say a normal college, really good point guard plays, I don't know, 32 to 35 minutes. I mean, you're going to see those numbers go up by 33%. So instead of 15 points a game, you're going to see 22, 23. Instead of 4 assists, you're going to see 6. That's the thing for me that really stands out when you're looking at his games. He only played 23 minutes a game, and he shot 44% from deep. That's crazy.
At 6'3", 176, Rob's overall creation and three-point shooting make him one of, if not the best guard in the class. Now, there are still serious questions about his defense and the offensive level necessary to counter some size concerns, but Rob's dynamic ability to create will likely keep him in high lotto consideration. Now, the biggest draw to Rob's game is what he can do as a scorer and self-creator off the dribble.
These shots are
creative
crazy.
Ball handler who can heat up as quick as anyone and consistently hits timely shots. He's got a whole lot in his bag of moves, from crossovers to between the legs. And
another thing I want to say is his true shooting goal percentage was like 60, and I'm seeing a lot of tough mid-range shots, which is impressive. It's impressive.
He seamlessly transitions into pull-ups in a variety of situations. He was efficient off the bounce, both from 3 and in the mid-range, often making tough shots look easy. And I think Rob has as much ability as a perimeter shot maker as anyone in the...
And I know he's undersized, but he jumps high when he shoots, so he's able to get it off.
And might just be scratching the surface with a lot of this.
Oh my gosh.
Edwards floated. Dillingham's got it. He'll pull up. They've got more shooters, more guys.
And, he's not scared to pull it from deep. So I know, the three-point line's deeper, but it doesn't matter. I mean, he's shooting this in a big-time game.
Early score. That's what we call it in a second. A hop and a skip and a 3, and he got it again.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He's a bucket getter. Who is like this in the league right now? I don't know.
The other way, too, the guys who transfer up to the high majors.
That step-back game is filthy, man. It's filthy. You can't guard that. You can't guard that.
He's missed a couple in a row. He's going to shoot this one.
He got fouled, too.
That is a statement. Dillingham contests it. Threw it up, and it ends up in the hands of Edwards, who gets it to Dillingham, who fires a 3. Dillingham working on Vescovy. Oh, my.
As a driver,
He's quick, and he loves that step back. Not all of it, but a lot of his shots come off that step back. I'm eager to see his floater game. That's what I'm intrigued about. Okay, so Troydan, for example, when he gets past people, he's gonna have to get people on his back, like his primary defender, and have that in between game, that floater game. Be able to draw contact, stuff like that.
Rob is quick and accelerates well to create advantages, but he also does a good job of using slow to fast change of pace.
I'm not gonna lie, he can finish at the rim a little bit, though.
A quick between the legs or a hezzy. He often attacks that top foot and counters from there to put pressure on a defense and force help. He's got a lot of variation.
He don't float, man. He attacks that rim.
Of off-foot layups and floaters to finish, and though the percentages aren't quite there yet, the skill set definitely is. Overall, I was impressed by how he played through that initial contact to get an angle he could convert at, especially considering how he looked there in the past. And heading into a league with more space,
left, right, and it don't matter.
This could shine even further for him, at least eventually.
Crosses over, James spins and scores. Dillingham loves to go. Oh!
That's on Harrison Ingram, man.
Reverse!
And he's not scared of the moment either.
Take the floater.
On just a soft defensive play by Kentucky, that those plays will not be rewarded in this league.
6 different Cats have already scored in this game.
Off foot floater, right foot, right hand.
Got Shepard on the wing. Takes it himself. Tough shot.
Important sense to get steals like Reed Shepard does.
Dillingham. He is.
And using both of those pieces as a pull-up shooter and driver, he also has a knack for scoring within the pick and roll. He shot over 50% there, right at 1 point per possession, ranking among some of the best higher usage guys in college. And his feel for punishing unders and drives both from 3 and the mid-range is apparent. He also has solid setups and does a good job of rejecting and makes good use of the floater when in range.
It's just crazy because if you come off a screen and you're not there, he is going to let you have it.
He is smaller in stature. Rob's creativity.
Imagine this combined with Gobert's screens, man. He's going to have a lot of looks.
Ability to put pressure on the defense both on the interior and on pull-ups and score within the pick and roll gives him a great chance to thrive at the next level in some capacity.
Makes the right read there. 30 and black's been terrific.
Question for Florida. They have had a tough time finishing games. Can they finish on the road in this environment?
To regain the lead. Behind the back by Dillingham. Up off the window.
Again, I'm seeing a lot in these like high leverage moments. Like here's what I'm talking about. The defender's on his back. You got one guy in the low man. You either shoot the floater or throw the lob here, in my opinion. It's a good finish though. A Euro step into the floater. I mean, are you serious? How old is he? Isn't he 19 years old?
One of the key areas that made Dillingham a legitimate NBA prospect this year was his effectiveness and improvement as a three-point shooter at about 44% total, but also nearly 48% off the catch. Related to that, his ability to play off the ball and add value there made him someone a lot easier to buy as a player rather than relying solely on whatever he can do off the bounce. I liked how well he moved around the perimeter, quickly finding gaps and reading the help defense and also flowing into drifts in the corner and shakeups out of it. And he also did a pretty good job of relocating after passes. I think his footwork is
his
good.
Shot is quick too.
Enough to do some level of movement in the future too. Maybe not a ton depending on the situation and offense that he's a part of, but the few opportunities that he had looked good, and I think it could be a way to weaponize him and open up even more things for him offensively. He has the pieces to be a high-level NBA shooter, and it'll be important for him to continue in order to maximize offense.
He's a microwave, man. He sees one go down, watch out. Watch out.
At his size.
Dillingham tries again.
His shot just looks so smooth, man.
Do Carolina, UConn come to town or a number 1 or 2 ranked team?
Dillingham.
Recognize the flash high low there, throw that pass. This is where you need Shepard to take over, really. You get a good look here on the dribble drive and like to get them in the tournament. You don't want to face them on your side of the bracket, but you know you got a chance because of their defensive mismatch.
Such a good driver.
And right now we're seeing the positive stuff, the offense, right? He might be the most talented offense player in this draft.
Dillingham, corner 3.
That release is so
The
quick.
other part of his sort of off-ball work that I really liked was his ability to attack quickly on efficient dribbles, both against closeouts threatened by his shot or more second side or shifted defense type of looks. Rob was effective getting to 1 or 2 dribble pull-ups, floaters, and all the way to the rim in a fashion that I think is very translatable to an NBA offense. Of course, he's capable of what he is as an initiator, and it's not like he was over-dribbling or anything, but all of this stuff, doing it within the flow and playing .5 basketball, that's
gonna be important next to Anthony Edwards, man. It will.
Separates a lot of young guards and players who are able to stick. And to me, that movement around the perimeter and just ability to do
His player build looks like Bones Highland, and that scares me a little bit.
this is the most underrated part of his game.
Very much the title other than her. Her squad right now, their average margin of victory for South Carolina, right at 40.
Now, in terms of playmaking, Rob isn't the most advanced, but he gets the job done in a few ways. He also posted a great
If he can throw that lob to Gobert, we're gonna be good.
assist rate in a situation that shared the ball handling duties pretty generously, so the upside is there for him to continue growing as a passer across the board. He's got most of the basic reads down, whether that's hitting the roll or pop man, especially against any blitzes.
Man, look at him able to throw lobs,
Doing it
man.
immediately without hesitation. There is some more that I want to see from him in terms of passing versatility, whether it's pocket passes and bounces in appropriate situations, but the process is there for the most part, and maybe you could chalk some of that up to him not having the full
Pick and
range
pop
of
game with Cat right there.
offense. And off of his own drives, he had plenty of moments of no-look drop-offs and dishes to bigs and cutters. He has a solid understanding of passing windows on those situations on the interior and made proper driving kicks when he drew help one pass away. And he's also pretty unselfish as a ball mover despite being a score-first guy by nature.
See if Rob Dillingham gets involved. Gonna kick it out. 3 pointers. A&M blitzing a ball screen out top.
Oh my gosh, look at this read.
A&M blitzing a ball screen out top.
It's a great read.
While he's not the most polished playmaker, I do think being a threat as a scorer in as many parts on the floor as possible is underrated at times, because you can be a passing savant that's a negative scoring threat and it becomes almost useless. So
He makes plays in big time moments. Like, a lot of these games are close, competitive in the second half.
while all of this is important for NBA lead guards and will probably determine the level of initiator he becomes, his potential for growth here is intriguing when matched with what else he can do with the ball in his hands.
3 short. Another offensive rebound for Kentucky. They are winning that battle. Shepard wide open. This is the nation's best.
Dillingham coming off that screening action on the right side.
No wonder Shepard shot 53% from 3 at Dillingham, man.
They have 2 7-footers on the floor now. Reed's open for a 3, and that's big money. The break for Kentucky. Dillingham up top.
Got to find ways to finish when you have opportunities, because then you get this
Around the handle. Dillingham extra. Shepard. They handed it to the big fella. Back in action. Reeves sees a baseline. Hard take.
Improvement areas. This is what I really want to see. I know defense is going to be one of them.
Now, the most obvious area for improvement and likely concern with Dillingham is his defense. Smaller guards always have a tougher time, especially those without top-tier physical tools, and that will be the case with him as well. He doesn't offer much at the point of attack in terms of consistently walling off drives or being a pest.
Bro, what is this defense?
And some of these sort of matador moments and a tendency to die on screens without much of a second effort to defend from behind or peel made for some objectively terrible stretches in games and put a lot of pressure on his teammates to make up for it. The second effort and ability to stick in plays or lack thereof is probably the most problematic part of his defense. Now, if your 5-man is Victor Wembanyama, then hey, it may not matter as much.
Rudy Gobert? Hey, I'm just telling y'all.
But for 95% of the rest of the league, it's something that could be an issue and put a team in a bind more than they'd want, and also limit what you can do schematically and potentially keep him off the floor.
Basicki behind Garcia's screen. Got all the way down for an offensive rebound.
Can you put in a little more effort to get around screens? Like, you're not even trying.
Kentucky now in front.
He's standing at half court. Like, he doesn't even try.
Make him score over without fouling.
Come on, man. What am I watching? If he does this in Minnesota, he won't play. And I genuinely mean that. Like, if this is the effort he gives, what are we doing?
Off the ball, it was a lot of the same. It might have even been worse. As many times as I'll say defense is way more than just effort and engagement, a little more of that would have gone a long way.
That's what I'm saying.
He had his share of lapses, several of which were pretty memorable, like the LSU game winner and then the strong side help 3 against Oakland and Attorney. Maybe you throw him some bail and say he was tired in those situations, but regardless, he's got to make a concerted effort to be better here. He had other times where he was late on rotations, out of position, and again, sometimes lacking multiple efforts when the ball got past the free throw line. The likelihood he could get caught ball watching skyrocketed after that.
I just feel like he gives up on plays, and that's what bugs me. Why are we giving up on the play?
Results.
I think he's a little too strong for Big Z. Yeah, you know, it's inexperienced defensively too. Wow. Big Z.
There's nothing else he can really do there.
Now, positively, he actually had quite a few good moments of ball pressure, and I think he moves well enough on the perimeter to...
It's when he wants to, like in close and competitive games. Look, he's more engaged on ball.
Make some guys work. If he's able to get stronger, I think there's a path to him being relatively decent in this aspect, and I think he did a better job of bringing this up until the early parts of conference play. Now, again, depending on where he goes physically and how he measures out of the combine, I think that could shift his floor here a bit in his favor, but the rest remain as things he'll need to get better at.
I used to call it the player control foul.
You used to see guys just put their shoulder down and try to bully it to the left.
Oh, Hannibal, great move. Getting rid of Dillingham.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, there's a second effort play, right? He gets you on his back, but then you don't just stand there. You get back in the play. Good. That's what I'm talking about.
Great year he's having.
Pulling hard take. Dillingham just took the ball out.
13-point South Carolina lead.
And how they defend without fouling. Only one foul.
Bodies on the deck.
Point games. The two most disappointing games to me, they did not show up against DePaul.
Yo, did you hear what he just said?
Dillingham to steal.
Again, in close and competitive games, I don't know. I didn't watch him, but I feel like he's way more engaged.
Another area of improvement that stood out for Rob is his finishing. He shot just about 53% at the rim total, and oddly enough was actually a bit better in half court than in transition. But he's not physically imposing or particularly explosive in traffic and may need some more consistent solutions to convert at a higher clip. Part of it is just getting better with his left hand, and another piece is just continuing to grow using the different extendeds and hand placements that he likes. And
again, he's still young though.
So playing off two a bit more in certain situations. The good thing is he isn't afraid of contact necessarily. There were some perfect moments of him going right into the chest of the defense and converting through them, but there were also others where he'd contort, maybe get a bit out of control, and also miss out on drawing a foul in the process. But this should be an early point of emphasis, knowing the backside length and difficulty to be consistently efficient without it, or higher free throw rates in the NBA.
He is so athletic. A windmill, oh my gosh.
There's also a level of decision making that I think Rob will need to work through, especially with more ball handling responsibilities. Now, he did do a very good job of taking care of the ball by the numbers in terms of turnovers, so we're not talking about something that was a huge issue in results, but process wise there's still some fat to trim in some of the shot and driving selection, especially.
I mean, if he would have played 35 minutes a game, you're looking at what would that be? Or even 30 minutes a game, close to 3 turnovers a game.
Long twos and a few errant passes that could come from his frequent use of the jump pass, especially when driving baseline, among a few other things.
It's A&M on Saturday for Onyenso. And Mississippi's Dillingham off the back of the...
Lastly, the other side of Rob's ability to get hot in an instant is he would have these long stretches of being a mostly non-factor. I think part of that we can kind of chalk up to the nature of this Kentucky team always searching for a flow, but it's at least worth raising your eyebrows at, even if it is nothing, given how important this part of his game is to his success. The biggest question will ultimately be whether or not Rob's immense creation upside can get to the level where some of the defensive or size concerns just...
My thing is, like, for like the Timberwolves, right? He's got to come off the bench and just be an absolute guy that just has no filter, man. Let it go. Let it go, because defensively, he might be able to improve, but he's not going to be a great player. So guess what? Offensively, you got to go.
Just don't matter as much. Ideally, you don't want anyone to be a negative defender in your lineup, but when you look around the league, and it's been this way for years, if you can produce, you'll take that and figure out how to optimize it, hopefully with some infrastructure already built in. Now, the draft range for Rob is anywhere from the top 3 to the late lottery.
See, he didn't even put the Wolves in the best fit, because why? I mean, shoot, it's obvious. It's obvious. Nobody thought we had potential.
While he probably has the most creation upside,
ceiling is a borderline all-star, just a borderline one. I think it could be an all-star.
In the class, the combination of teams who may be a little bit more skeptical of him or would rather take another position make the range a little wider. Best case, I think we could at least see him get into all-star conversations, maybe make a couple if things work in his favor as a dynamic lead guard. And then on the lower end, if the defense holds him back and he's more complimentary than one of your top playmakers, some caliber of a microwave scoring guard is pretty feasible for his talent. The best fit to me is by far San Antonio. His skill set.
It's crazy because the Spurs drafted him and gave him up. Why would the Spurs give him up? I have no idea.
Needed there, and he could also use a roster that has someone like Wemby and others around him.
Gobert is so important for him to have defensively,
especially defensively. After that, it does get a bit trickier, but New Orleans, Toronto, and Washington intrigue me. And if somehow Minnesota or Orlando got into the mix, I'd like those too.
Well, guess what? Minnesota did get into the mix, and now we've got Rob and Ant for the future.
Comparison-wise, I like Darius Garland most as someone super shifty and creative with the ball and can operate as one of your elite options. Now, DG may have a real passing edge there, but I think there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. And then some version of a Lou Williams could be another, which he
just reminds me a lot of like Bones Highland. I don't know.
Really ended up being a little bit better than people even remember. I also think you could use Kimba, Brandon Jennings, maybe a little Tyrese Maxey as some references.
Okay, I mean, I don't mind the Tyrese comparison either.
But I like those two most.
Oh my gosh, Lou Will was tough.
Rob Dillingham is undoubtedly one of, if not the best creator bet in a class that is marketed.
And honestly, guys, the Wolves need offense. Like, you can say whatever you want, if, ands, or buts about it. The Wolves need offense.
Lacking
they do.
In that department. His combination of ball handling, pull-up shooting, and passing matched with a newfound level of offensive malleability put him in top 5 to 10 conversations. Now, concerns around his size and defense will always be in the forefront considering the direction of the NBA and historical thresholds. But
doesn't he weigh like 165? That's crazy.
Nonetheless, Rob's talent will likely be highly valued in this draft.
Where do you end up? At number 8? I mean, that's not. It doesn't seem like they didn't overpay. They got a great guard that's gonna be a bucket. To me, a big time win for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think Rob is gonna fit in really well. I need to go get a Rob Dillingham jersey, so I'm gonna see y'all later. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if y'all new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.